5 dashes per second? What? We can also explode the whole screen. Oh, and you can do harvest really easily. Here's for NASA 9 and a Sirus 9. And then, after that, we're going to do a Maven invitation, 84%. So, that's what's in the video. Alright, let's get started with the build showcase. This build excels in 6 areas. Speed, you get the Whirling Blade 5 to 6 times per second. Avoidance, you have 49 dodge, 48 spell dodge without elusive, and then 11% block. Mitigation, you get buffed endurance charge from Jug, petrified blood, and some physical taking as an element. Ailment, stun protection. Stun, freeze immune from Jug, unaffected by shock from the Impulsa, 50% reduced ignite duration, and you can get some reduced duration of ignite from jewel implicits to be completely ignite immune. Auto, poison, and bleed removal from our flasks. Life bounce back. High level vitality, life leech, insta life on low life for an instant 2400-ish HP anytime we're hitting that flask. Damage. Tribal Fury allows us to get a projectile hit and a melee hit if we're positioned appropriately, which you'll see later in the video. And we get 2 charges of Vaal Lightning Strike, which deals a ton of damage and lasts for 6 seconds per charge. So we're doing basically 6 hits. What? Slow-mo! It's probably time to talk about why I really died there. Has nothing to do with the triple rares with auras, which are also bullshit, but it actually has to do with me not being able to off-screen them because there's a freaking rock there. Yeah, it doesn't go through rocks. Look at this. Hitting a rock, hit another rock. What the heck, GGG? Fix your stuff. All right, you guys get the point. It's still a good skill though, I promise. Please do not click off the video, but it is a good time to like the video. Okay, back into the action. We're dashing around like crazy. All right, and we're gonna avenge ourselves. See, didn't even stand a chance that time because we avoided the rocks. Oh right, I'm supposed to be explaining to you how the build works. That's right. So what's an accuracy stacker? Well, you have these 2 replica last resort nailed fist claws, and they give you a ton of damage when you're on low life, accuracy when you're on low life, and then you get attack speed from Undeniable from Juggernaut. Then you have Divergent additional accuracy, that gives you attack damage per accuracy. Obscurantus, and that gives you projectile damage per accuracy. Oscrum, that gives you crit chance per accuracy, and then you get flat lightning damage per accuracy as well. So all this amounts to you being crit capped, as well as having a ton of flat damage and a ton of flat lightning damage. And of course, attacking really, really, really fast, which is why we can dash so fast. Believe it or not, the only cold damage that I have in the build right now is Herald Vice. I'm actually able to freeze lock and shatter most things, but you can possibly build it with even more cold damage, or you could use Call of the Brotherhood to convert your lightning damage into cold damage at a 50-50 split, and then you would replace lightning penetration with Trinity. Oh, and since we're using Impulsa, everything that you kill is going to be shocked because you're critting all the time, and then it's going to explode in an AoE, which makes really cool effects and just helps you clear better. I think we've just about seen enough of map clearing, but I don't think that watching it be played really does it justice to how smooth it feels and how satisfying these shatters. Now it's time for the boss battle. So you drop your Vaal lightning strikes down and he's gone. I also wanted to show you a quick little expedition. So for expedition, you basically just get to off screen the whole thing. You just reposition yourself, let them clump up, and attack them far, far away. Pretty easy. And in fact, I've been using this character to farm logbooks, and it's pretty darn profitable. One of the other very scary things in the game is harvest. But what you can do for this one is either drop your double Vaal Lightning Strike, or you can just off-screen them. Right here you can see how quickly Vaal Lightning Strike charges fill up. But how does this perform on bosses? This is a level 9 Veranasta, that's a rare map, and it has 40% increased life. And deleted. And here is Sirus 9. Now, there are two things that I'm not doing in this. Oh, by the way, look at the positioning where it's hitting twice. That's what I'm talking about with the Tribal Fury. But I did not do Berserk Cheese, and I also right now am not using Point Blank. And that's because I wanted to focus on doing those logbooks and map clear more so on bossing. However, if I was going to just boss, then I would spec into point blank and, like I said, do the Berserk Cheese. And we have the main event, folks. It's time to fight them Guardians. Now, what I really like about this build in this situation is you get these vaal lightning strikes up really easily. So see, I just did 2 there. And then you get to just kind of off-screen the bosses. We're just dashing around. We don't really have to worry where they are other than way away from us. And a couple of them already went down. We're almost done. Easy peasy. I don't think we even got hit so far. Also, we have vulnerability, so most builds struggle with having vulnerability or doing it this high, other than miners or something that cheese it. So, but all we got left is the Minotaur here, so kiting around a little bit, and he's gone. So there you go. Pretty smooth. Pretty smooth. Hey, if you've enjoyed the video so far, make sure you hit that like button. Now, you're probably wondering, James, they just mentioned that dodge is getting deleted. Why the heck did you just make a video and you said, oh, well, they got dodge and avoidance and all this stuff that just changed? Well, as it turns out, it's been taking me a long time to make this video. I've invested a crap load of time in it. Then GGG went and just deleted this and basically a bunch of my videos on the channel instantly with a couple changes that they did. So I could just throw it away, but I think I'm going to try to salvage this build, and I just wanted to share it since it was my favorite build of the league. So that being said, if this is salvageable, I'll be doing a post as soon as we see the patch notes on it. Now, in the rest of the video, what I want to do is I want to go over how to do the Berserker Cheese in case you want to play this and then use it to farm bosses. And we're going to just like look at the damage numbers up front. Then I'm going to go through each piece of gear, do a little bit of commentary on it, and then we're going to look at the skill tree in Path of Building. This skill has 2 components to it. It has a melee hit, and then it also has a projectile hit. And you can attack in place and it will still do the projectiles even if it doesn't hit the target. And that's where I was talking about, where the Tribal Fury comes in and you'll get the melee hit. And then if you're standing away, your initial hit will also do the projectile hit. So you'll get a projectile hit and a melee hit. So we're at 4.5 mil on the melee hit, and we're at 5.6 mil on the projectile hit. Now, as I mentioned, point blank, I didn't use that. If we have check that box and we put projectile distance of about 10, we can see that the projectile hit goes to 7.3. We still have the same damage on the melee hit, but this is probably enough damage where we could just skip the entire Sirus fight. Okay, someone corrected me 4 billion times. It's apparently Sirus, something like that, but that was important to somebody. I'm probably going to continue to mispronounce it. I tried, sorry. Now, I also want to show you if we have Berserk. So now we're at 11 mil for the projectiles, and we would be at 7.2. So we're at about 20 mil by doing this cheese. We definitely can delete Sirus before he can do anything at all. So how do you actually do a Berserk cheese, and what is a Berserk cheese? Well, Berserk, really, really strong skill, gives you more damage with attacks, more attack speed, less damage taken, but it requires rage. So basically what you do is you get these weapons. Why do you get these weapons? Because they attack really, really, really fast. And we're going to go with Chain Hook, Multi-Strike, and faster attacks. And then the other one, we are going to put Frenzy, and we're going to put a Hydrosphere. And basically you can hit Hydrosphere to generate rage with Chain Hook. Put down Hydrosphere, and we hit it, and see our rage is going up. So we do this before transitions, so that we can pop our Berserk. And then we also can use this to get our frenzy charges. Look how quickly we went to 3 frenzy charges with this trick. So as the boss is sitting there and doing their speech and all that fun stuff, we do this, and then we can try to insta-kill him. Now it's time to look at the gear. One of my favorite parts of doing this. Now, that is until someone comes along and says, I have a better one of those. I have the perfect one. And then my soul is crushed. But I successfully corrupted 2 claws to get power chance to gain power charge on crit. Both of these. Crazy. So that puts me at crit cap in the build. Very important. Otherwise, I was a little bit off of crit cap. But we're just using these replica last resorts, and we went ahead and put an enchant on there, with 1% increased accuracy for 2% quality. Now, there's even better claws out there where we can get 30% crit multi instead of the flat damage, which would be... For the helm, you're pretty much locked into this because it gives you a ton of attack damage. So, Obscurantus, and I got one that gives me 3 pierces on lightning strike. And then I don't have to worry about chain or pierce or anything like that. This is all you really need to have really smooth clear. Hinakora's Sight. Pretty cheap amulet. It gives you dodge and spell dodge and some accuracy, which is really busted because you can get to pretty much 50% dodge just from this thing and the dodge nodes. Now they took this out. I don't know if they're going to change this to just overall avoidance or what's going to happen to this. But pretty cheap piece right here. And then you enchant or anoint Tribal Fury. Then Impulses. So we're using this for the shock immune, some increased effect shock. And of course the explosions, which are always nice to have, a little bit increased damage. This wasn't that popular, so I was able to get a +2 with 50% reduced extra damage from critical strikes for about 20x. So I scooped this up. Like, why not? Why wouldn't I want +2 to it? Then for gloves, we're pretty much locked into this piece, which is Oscrum, and it gives a crap load of attack critical strike chance because we're stacking accuracy. And then it also gives some spell dodge, which is really nice. I don't know if they're going to change that to avoidance or leave it as spell dodge in the weapon as well, but you get accuracy for it. These are pretty common, so it's not hard to find one that have plus flat critical strike chance if you want to do that. Or maybe you can go multi-curse and get one that gives you elemental weakness or something like that. For boots, I just have boots with some life on it, some movement speed, some resists, and then we of course have the implicit of Storm Rider boots, which gives us flat lightning damage. So these are really important. Even to just get a crappy version of them when you're starting the build out, you have to have this or you do no damage, because our claws don't really do a whole lot of damage. 7 to 21 physical. So bulk of the damage comes from here. Then for rings, we're just looking at a bunch of resists, and we're looking at accuracy on it for both of those. Now we have to have an open prefix, and we have to craft this minus total mana cost on your rings, because we attack so darn fast that you're just going to run out of mana. So what I'm basically doing is reducing it down to 1, which I need 5 and 6. And then I have, just to make 100% sure, on one of my jewels, +2 mana gain for each hit. So I know that I'm always just capped on mana, because see, I'm reserved all the way down to 34. Then for a belt, I'm using Darkness Enthroned, and here's where you can get creative. You could use a life belt, like Abyssal with 1 socket, or you can kind of use whatever belt that you want to use here. I chose this one just because it gives you a ton of accuracy, but this was really hard to get. These jewels here, I actually had to craft them by myself, and just there were none from the league that have a good accuracy roll with life and crit multi. So I can get a much better jewels in here. You'll notice that I enchanted it with 30% increased accuracy while you have onslaught. That's a big deal for the build. That's like the core gear. Now then, flasks, I have this Panic Divine Life Flask of Staunching, and basically what this does gives me immune to bleeding, so it removes my bleeding, but it has this line that says insta recovery when on low life. Well, guess what? We're always on low life, so this insta recovers all that life, which is really cool. Then I'm using an auto bleed removal flask and an auto poison remove flask. And you'll notice I crafted on each of these 20% chance to gain a flash charge when you deal a critical strike. We're dealing critical strikes 100% of the time. We're attacking really quickly, so we pretty much don't run out of flash charges on a lot of these. every single one of these has a chance to gain. So I have like really good uptime on these flasks, except for the life one. Then I'm using this diamond flask just for a little bit more crit. And I also am getting some accuracy during flask effect. And I have this one auto procking whenever I hit a rare or unique, so I don't have to deal with that. Then I'm using an onslaught flask, because why as well even get more. And when an adjacent flask is used, which would be this one, it procs, and it gives me attack speed. So I'm getting 31% increased attack speed on this thing. So the only thing, if you notice from down here, I completely rebounded all my flasks except for the life flask, and I don't have to hit any flasks except for the life flask. So that's a huge improvement with 3.15 that allowed me to set that up. All right, so we have several unique, expensive jewels in here. So these are the flat accuracy jewels, upgraded ones. I think they're like 3 to 6x each, and we're using 3 of them. One here, and one here. If you look what this gives me 750 accuracy, 875 flat accuracy, 1000 flat accuracy. Pretty huge. Then over here, I'm using a Might of the Meek, and this is because it gives me some accuracy from buffing these, and then it gives me some life from here. It gives me some higher base stats, and then it also gives me some life here. So these are cheap, and you can get really good corruptions with them. Then I'm using a second one, and I use this one for my Corrupting Blood. You definitely need the Corrupting Blood immunity because you're low life. You are going to get absolutely wrecked by Corrupting Blood. If you are not immune to it, you're probably not going to be able to hit this. And if you run out of these charges ever for the bleeding, you're just screwed. So make sure you get immunity from Corrupted Blood somewhere. So this allows us basically get more dex nodes, which is kind of nice. And then it buffs these nodes for the accuracy that we then use an unnatural instinct to get. So that's why this is a big deal, because it buffs attack speed and it buffs the accuracy, making this even more valuable. In addition to that, this is like a side perk to it, because it also hits a bunch of these life nodes and gives life, or upgrades them. So these are upgraded to 7, and then this one, because it's overlapping both, is upgraded to 10. Then I'm using some really nice jewels here that have a crit multi with one-handed melee weapons, and then lightning, this triple multi, very nice, and it also has accuracy rating. And I have one that has int because I'm a little bit short on int. 15% melee crit multi that only applies to the melee hit, not the other one, so it's not the best stat to really have, but I was out of money at the point, so I bought this. 5% maximum life, and then crit multi while dual wielding. That applies to both the projectile and the melee hit. Then we have increased damage with claws, global accuracy rating, crit multi, and mana. And then we have a attack damage, global accuracy rating, global crit multi, and global crit multi. And then these Buster Jewels I had to make on my own. They didn't exist, probably because it was a lower played league, but basically they have Deadly, Repertoire, Martial Momentum, and Martial Prowess. And that configuration makes it such that Deadly Repartee, I have no idea what the hell that was. Repartee, Deadly Repartee. Let's have a party. It kicks it to the back so that we can get this 16% accuracy rating, and we can get this 15% accuracy rating, plus some attack speed and other good things. With just 5, only costs us 5 points to hit this because we kick this to the back. So the tree, you mostly just go out of the Marauder, you go to the right, you go over to here. There's different ways to path. This is the way that I chose. Right here is point blank. We grab Wind Dancer, which is really, really nice. We, of course, do not have very high evasion rating, but we were using dodge basically to not get screwed by Wind Dancer, which now that's really not an option in the next patch. So we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do with that. That's pretty basic. You just go up here, grab the dodge nodes, which obviously won't be a thing. So we're going to have to figure out what we do with that. Grab the claw nodes. I skimped out and removed this. You need these 2 nodes. They're very important. It was really stupid of me not to play with these nodes for a period of time. Just this life recovery is so good. And so just having a little bit of mana leech is also really good. I mean, they give you a ton of damage for it. You get life recovery rate. All your life leech you can ever want. Better, much better sustain. We went all the way up to here to be able to grab this like accuracy and crit. Okay, for skills, I'm using Ancestral Protector, Hydrosphere, and Calling Strike. In my helm, I have Steel Skin and Petrified Blood. Then I'm using Herald of Ice and Purity of Elements. In my other claw, I have Fortify, Divergent Rage, because every time I use Rage, it'll give me some, or every time I use my Whirling Blades here, it's going to give me a little bit of Rage. Then I'm using Arrogance with Anomalous War Banner. That's because this gives increased accuracy rating. Enhance, because I want to increase the amount of quality, and the quality gives more accuracy rating, basically. Then I'm using Anomalous Blood Rage. So this gives us Frenzy Charges on kill. It also drains our life and energy shield down to where we're in low life, so we're constantly in low life, which allows us to do Overleech, which is really important. And the other part about it is I'm using the Anomalous, which gives us Frenzy Charge on hit. So I have 3% chance to gain a Frenzy Charge on hit. That's also why I linked it with Enhance, but you don't have to do that if you want to add something else. Then I'm using Empower, Arrogance, Vitality, and Precision. Just buff these. Now, if you want to do the Berserk Cheese, which I was too lazy to do, then you would need to drop one of these to add Berserk. Then I have Chain Hook, Multi-Strike, Faster Attacks, and I have Frenzy and Hydrosphere in my weapon swap.